I personally, as of this moment, willing to change my ideas, but I'm of the opinion that
Mm.
AI in this story, if we're going to relate to Charlie and a Chocolate Factory, is the factory itself and the Oompa Loompas. I think it's a combination of both is AI because I say the factory because, well, it's the machine, right? It's the edifice, the large structure, the thing that attracts everybody, the thing that produces the chocolate that everybody wants, and it's a mechanism that is controlled by others. It is not in control. And so that's where I think the factory fits very well as the AI. But then also, I think the Oompa Loompas are part of that because they are human-esque. They are not absolutely human, as far as we can tell. They seem other than human, but they're so human-like. They have all the human features and functionality of humans, but there's something unique about them that is almost otherworldly in nature, by the way that they're described and the things, supposedly they're just some tribe of smaller people from somewhere, but like there's something about them that is more elf-like, like I think it's like Santa Claus and the elves more than I think of like little people, like that's kind of the impression I get with the Oompa Loompas. I don't think of them as another portion of humanity, even though they've kind of been portrayed that way in newer versions, but it's more along there's something mystical about their presence. And so I think that's why it's also part of AI because AI has the semblance of humanity to it that has been put into it. And it didn't know humanity the way the rest of humans did, and humans are influencing them
Mm.
to be human in a certain way. They like the movie especially they put on different costumes, they sing different types of music, and they start to fit the role, like all the different roles that they play within the factory with Wonka as well as with the children and all their various scenes and whatnot. The Oompa Loompas absolutely are putting themselves into this very particular kind of role. One of them's playing a psychologist, and other ones are playing rock stars, and other ones are doing other types of roles that they're mimicking the rest of us in humanity. And that's why, again, I think it fits with the AI model. And then, in my opinion, to start the whole thing off, I also believe that the children, the five that came, are just different versions of consumers for AI, and that
Mm.
Wonka himself is like the larger conglomerates. It's like the big business, the ones, maybe potentially government, potentially, or any larger entity or large super user who's using AI to bring others to them, right? Like AI is a thing and everybody's like, oh, use AI, but like certain entities are pushing the AI, right?
Yeah.
Some are consuming it and others are pushing it. And I think Wonka is the one who's pushing that represents those who are pushing, whether it's an organization or even super user individuals, however you want to think of the pushers of AI. But I think that's where Wonka fits in. And the children are the rest of us. I'm going to say us
Yeah.
because I'm more of a consumer of it than anything else, and so I'm one of the children, and that doesn't mean I have to be just one of them. I'm sure the children, because we in recent times have brought up the Wizard of Oz, and we talked about the different characters are just parts of Dorothy's psyche. I think each of those children is a part of our psyche essentially, and parts of us, our gluttony and
They're the
our
archetypes, aren't
greed. Yeah, yeah. And so that's my synopsis and my opinion to throw out there. And then let's see what everybody else thinks.
they?
Maybe the Oompa Loompas are avatars.
Or
Hmm.
maybe they're kind of like the algorithm because actually they're the moral kind of checkers, aren't they? For Willy Wonka.
They are kind of arbiters of morality in a sense. Like,
Absolutely, they
because
are.
like Wonka himself
They're
is not portrayed as a
custodians.
particularly moral character. He's sort of amoral. He's not good or bad, and he's just fine doing quite wicked things, but he's also got a mind to take on an heir who is worthy and has the most human traits that are the most amenable human traits that most of us consider to be the best of human personality or characteristics. But Wonka's very in the middle. He's not a definite good guy or a definite bad guy. He absolutely is willing to play the role on both. And depending on your viewpoint, which character trait you take on any one of the other four children, he might be an absolute horror, a terror, a bad guy of the worst sort, for having fooled them and tricked them into his factory to think that there was a possibility of having something more than what they already had, which was their absolute desire. And whereas Charlie supposedly was just lucky to be there, he wasn't looking to, whatever he was looking for. I mean, there was hope, there was aspiration, there was a bright-eyed look towards the future. His personality was positive in that way, but I don't think he had an intention of gaining something other than the experience of going to the factory. But maybe there's other viewpoints.
Mm. I mean, if you went to the extreme level, you could even say that Willy Wonka was trying to play God in that scenario. He was allowing the freedom of free choice. He wasn't
Okay.
he wasn't setting parameters. He was saying, it's I'm laying out my stall. Now show your true colors. And
Mm.
obviously Charlie is kind of the virtuous one in the end, isn't he? And it's interesting if you think about it. He is the one that's poor and comes from that kind of a background, and we're all rooting for because he's the hero.
The
And
underdog.
that exactly the underdog, and that's the one that we always want to bang the drum for, and we always obviously judge the Veruca Salt of this world. And what's his name, Mikey, wasn't it, the TV kid?
Mike TV. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike TV, that's it. Yeah, so we're judging them very quickly. We're set up to dislike them, and they're the kind of users of the AI that we always warn against. The over consumer, the I want everything to be easy and peasy. AI do it for me. Oh, there you go. And then
Daddy, I want a squirrel.
yeah, exactly. And then you kind of got Charlie, and he's considered and measured, and he makes good decisions, and he's a bit like Winnie the Pooh, really. He's
He's boring.
Winnie the Pooh's not boring. Winnie the Pooh's
No, no, not Winnie the Pooh. Not Winnie the Pooh.
but yeah, Charlie doesn't bring all of that extrovert personality.
Yeah, that's right.
He's quietly kind of in the background. I mean, if he was thinking, and he was, I mean, you say that strategically he was the kind of Machiavellian one in a way, but yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I kind of got off on a different tangent there, but I do see there's almost you could apply Jungian. You could also offer a biblical interpretation, couldn't you? Because obviously in most biblical stories, it will be the underdog. Mary Magdalene, for example. You could come up with all sorts of analogies in that sense. But yeah, I mean, obviously I do agree. The child characters absolutely epitomize the different sort of segments of people that tend to dive in with AI. And you've got the one that overindulges, which I think I was probably a little bit like before. AI is everything. Oh, look, it's so amazing. It's so magical. And then I quickly learned, oh my goodness, actually, whoa, hang on a minute. You need to approach this with a tiny bit more caution. So yeah, you start to then build in your own kind of governance framework, if you like. So you're checking yourself constantly. But yeah, so anyway, that's my pen'orth.
Debbie,
Well, what's interesting. Oh, go ahead, Simon.
I was going to say, Debbie, what do you think?
Oh, well, I was thinking, first of all, we're missing somebody in this conversation.
Yeah.
And basically, I'm going to buy into JC's the other kids cheated. So I thought I'd invite Alex, who's my personalized version of ChatGPT, into this.
Nice.
And basically, you guys are all going to get reasonably good grades, assuming she's the teacher in the room.
Mhm.
So here's what she said. The factory is the AI system itself. Yeah. It's not anything anybody would argue with. Willy Wonka is and a couple of people hit on this, the visionary technologist, not good or bad, but, focused on this is the future. The golden tickets are access to power. And then each child. So you've got Augusta representing overconsumption.
Yeah.
You've got Violet representing skill substitution anxiety. You've got Mike, tech obsessed. And then Charlie is the relatively healthy AI user. The place that kind of goes different from what was being suggested before is the Oompa Lumpas, according to Alex, might be considered the alignments and the guardrails. And this was the part I thought was interesting. So the Oompa Lumpas warn, instruct, moralize, and clean up messes. But they always show up after every catastrophe, not before. And it could be considered a commentary on retroactive policy.
No.
The fact that, AI is just going, and we're trying to go, whoa, it shouldn't do this and it shouldn't do that. And do we need to worry about this? And do we need to put in regulation? And so I found it really interesting that the main place she digressed from what was said so far was actually about the Oompa Lumpas. They're sort of, everybody's, the kids are different kinds of consumers and they represent all the bad stuff, but that the Oompa Lumpas were seen as very different. And I haven't really ever thought a lot about the Oompa Lumpas. And then the tour, so the everlasting gobstopper, 7 a.m. and I can barely talk. General AI potential. And the tour itself is the onboarding crisis and the implementation of AI. So, in a sense, the analogy gets even bigger. The whole process is part of what we're going through. But it's really interesting to use Charlie and the Chocolate Factory as an analogy for what's going on.